Tolerance will reach such a point that smart people will be banned from speaking so as to not to offend these stupid people. This quote hits harder today than ever. Because while we love to praise tolerance, being kind, accepting, open-minded, there is a line where tolerance stops being a virtue and starts becoming a trap. And when we keep tolerating the intolerable, it doesn't make us kinder or wiser. It makes us weaker. The people who act with no respect, they lose even more respect for us. And now we've just normalized bad behavior. Today I will discuss about a simple experiment about tolerance that becomes terrifying when you scale it up to an entire society. It shows that civilizations don't collapse because people become cruel. They collapse because people become too soft. They forget to say no and too tolerant of things they should have pushed back against. And if you want a real-world example, we will look at UK in detail. Around the world, people don't see Britain as a strong, proud nation it used to be. They see it as a punchline, a country so desperate to avoid offending anyone that it forgot what it actually stands for. A culture once known for discipline, resilience, identity, and tradition slowly dissolved into a kind of tolerance that accepts everything, questions nothing, and protects nobody. In 2011, researchers tracked a group of kids ages 8 to 16 for 2 years to understand how people slowly start accepting bad behavior. So here's what they did. Number one, they asked kids which rules they thought are not a big deal. Things like copying homework, telling small lies, taking something without asking, pushing a boundary. Next, they asked what their friends were doing, because other people's behavior shapes what feels normal. And lastly, they asked the kids how wrong each behavior felt to them, basically whether it bothered them or not. Did it make them feel uncomfortable or did it feel normal? And then they repeated the same questions every few months. And what they found was very clear. When a kid broke a small rule and nothing happened, their brain adjusted. I guess this is not that bad. When they saw friends doing the same thing with no consequences, their belief became stronger. Everyone does it, so it must be normal. So over time, their emotional reaction faded. Cheating felt less wrong. Lying felt less wrong. Bending rules felt normal. The study showed that if small misbehaviors are not corrected, the brain gradually stops seeing them as misbehavior at all. And this is what the researchers called tolerance of deviance. Your moral alarm gets quieter every time you ignore it. In short, when you don't push back against bad behavior, the brain stops seeing it as bad. Tolerance in this case doesn't lead to peace, it leads to moral confusion. And to illustrate this point in adults too, in 1982, criminologists James Wilson and George Kelling introduced the broken window theories. If a broken window, graffiti, or small vandalism goes unfixed, people assume nobody cares. And when the environment signals that nobody cares, crime increases because they see that there are no consequences. So in 2008, Dutch researchers tested this scientifically. They set up real street experiments. If an alley was clean, people didn't litter. If there was graffiti or trash already there, littering doubled or tripled. When bikes were parked illegally, theft increased. When a rule looked ignored by others, people immediately felt less guilty breaking it. It worked on adults exactly the same way as kids. You first have a small disorder, then the brain normalizes that, and then the bigger disorder feels acceptable. This is the same tolerance mechanism, but now scaled to entire communities. And to bring an example closer to home, the tolerance is very important in families. Imagine a parent who keeps letting things slide, a lie, a rude tone, some disrespect. The more you ignore it, the less they respect you. Children test the boundaries, and when no one pushes back, they stop believing that there is even a boundary at all. Over-tolerance doesn't build trust, it quietly destroys it. Now zoom out and look at an entire country. If laws are enforced one day but ignore the rest or only apply to certain groups, the rule of law starts to feel like a joke. People don't trust the system, so they stop respecting it. And that's when chaos starts to creep in. In places like the UK right now, we are seeing this exact pattern. A country built on fairness is now enforcing rules based on fear, not principle. We have uneven justice. Regular citizens get fined or jailed for things they post online. even if it's just frustration or opinion. We also have selective weakness. Meanwhile, more extreme public behavior from certain groups often goes unpunished because authorities are scared of being called racist or because of discrimination. And the result is a double standard. One group is forced to show extreme tolerance. The other group doesn't show any at all. And if you complained, you are labeled as being the problem. This is not paranoia. The numbers speak for themselves. Shoplifting under 200 pounds is often ignored. Nearly 90% of non-violent crimes like bike theft, car theft, burglaries are never solved. Long-term benefits have shifted from emergency support to a normalized lifestyle. Family structure in many areas has collapsed, with children growing up in unstable homes and chaotic environments. These are not random issues. They're all symptoms of the same psychological mechanism this study showed. When small lines are not defended, big lines disappear. And there is another layer to this story, one that people whisper about privately, but they are too afraid to say it out loud. British people became so tolerant of every other culture that they accidentally lost their own on the way. Certain groups demand that the British public adjust to their customs and needs. And instead of pushing back, Britain accommodates. Those accommodations turn into expectations, then into rights. And suddenly, the host culture, British culture, becomes the one that must tiptoe. This is how tolerance becomes entitlement. Today, the Union Jack is called offensive. Mentioning the Bible in school is inappropriate. Christmas markets get renamed to winter markets to avoid offending anyone. Other cultures grow stronger and more assertive, while British culture gets chipped away piece by piece. When you don't defend your own values, people stop respecting them, and then they stop respecting you. A guest in my house doesn't get to rewrite the rules. I can show generosity, I can make small concessions, but I expect humility and gratitude, not demands and rights. And that's how every healthy relationship works, between individuals, between families, and between cultures. But when a society forgets this, when it becomes afraid to assert its own values, when tolerance replaces backbone, respect evaporates. The human brain hates tension. When we see something wrong, but no one stands up, we immediately start making excuses. We say things like, oh, it's complicated, it's not really our place, we shrug the shoulders, we need to be more understanding. But the truth is, the standards are not evolving, they are eroding. You can survive tension, you can survive arguments, you can survive hardship, but a society cannot survive when consequences disappear. When the law becomes optional, even informally, respect dies instantly. And when respect dies, collapse follows. This isn't just about politics or parenting. It's about every space where people live, work, or try to build something real, relationships, communities, or businesses. If you tolerate too much, too often, here's what happens. The standards drop. The best people leave and the worst people take over. So what can you actually do? Number 1, learn the difference between kindness and cowardice. Kindness is clear. It says, I care enough to correct this. Cowardice hides behind softness. It says, I'll just let this one slide so no one gets upset. One builds respect and the other one contempt. Being kind doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior. It means drawing lines and doing it early. And in that respect, there is a great saying in the Bible from the book of Proverbs. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him. Let me be straight here. The core idea is not about violence. It's about discipline as an act of love, not neglect. Avoiding correction is not kindness. Number 2, set clear boundaries and hold them. Boundaries are like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get. If someone crosses a line, even a small one, respond immediately. Not with rage, not with shame, just calm, firm consequences. Whether it's a child, a friend, a coworker, or a stranger, every time you enforce a boundary, you teach people how to treat you and how to treat others. Number 3, reward responsibility. Modern culture often rewards people for being loud, angry, entitled, or offended. Reward the people who show up consistently, take accountability, and raise the standards. If you are a leader of any kind, a parent, a teacher, a manager, a businessman, a creator, shine your light on those who make things better without making things louder. Number 4, say no early and mean it. The earlier you stop bad behavior, the easier it is. The longer you tolerate it, the more people believe it's normal. A soft maybe, it's worse than a hard no. Don't delay, don't hint at anything, don't hope they figure it out. Say it, mean it, and move on. The collapse of a culture doesn't happen when people get angry. It happens when the good people get too quiet and too tolerant of things they should have shut down from the beginning. So next time your gut tells you something isn't right, don't just shrug it off. Don't just tolerate it. Say something, draw the line, and enforce the boundaries. And remember, softness doesn't have a society. Courage does. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe to The Dark Mirror. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.